Top 9 Windows commands to nail the tech interview. Number 9. First, it does you no good to know the top 9 Windows commands if you don't know how to get into Windows. Let's try that. So if you're in Windows, you click on Start, and you click on CMD or type CMD, and then you right click on it and run as administrator. The difference being now you're in elevated permissions. You can do anything you want. A little different than if you're in a regular user or regular permissions. You'll notice that when you have the system32, that means you're in elevated prompt. So that command is what? That first command is ipconfig. ipconfig tells you information about your computer, your domain, and your network. Let's type it again, ipconfig. And there's other variations of ipconfig. For instance, if you type in ipconfig and then slash, you're going to get a whole host of commands you can type on your computer. That's going to help you troubleshoot network issues, troubleshoot your interface, see if you have internet. If you're going for a job, and really this is what this video is about, right? The company's going to ask you, well, how would I find out the IP address of a computer? And you're like, I don't know. Well, now you do. You just type ipconfig slash what? I don't know. Okay, well, let's find out. What would I type? Oh, I'd be slash all, because you want to display the full configuration of everything in this computer. Let's do that. So ipconfig slash all. That's going to tell me all the information about the computer. It's going to tell me the host name. It's going to tell me the DNS. It's going to tell me the type. In some cases, you might not have this information. But since my computer's on a domain, a local Windows domain, then I have that. It's going to find out. It's going to tell you the MAC address, which is the physical address. It's going to tell you the IP address. In our case, it's a not a static IP, but it obtains the IP address automatically, essentially. So it's a DHCP server. So since this is a VirtualBox, I have it set to be virtual. I have it set to give out IPs. This is why it has its own IP address. It's generated its own. It's going to tell you the subnet mask, and it's going to tell you the lease time, meaning this has been up since X amount of time. The lease obtained, lease expires. Usually what happens is, in network terms, you'll have like a certain amount of time where the interface will like refresh, and it's typically how it works. On your router, usually you can set that. It's a manual setting. Sometimes I think it's set to like 10 hours, 10 minutes, something like that, but you can set it. The other thing you're going to see is your DHCP server, which is going to hand out your IP addresses. And it's also going to give you, like for instance, this is a static IP here, or sorry, this is still DHCP rather, sorry. But this is going to be like your DNS server. Oh, no, I was mistaken actually. This is statically assigned actually. But anyway, this is going to be your DNS server. Now, your DNS server is something that goes out to the internet. Probably sometimes you've seen on your router at home, you've seen, say, like your IP address, and then you've seen like this thing called a DNS server. Well, the DNS server is a domain name server that lets you access the internet. Usually Google's is 8.8.8.8. You've probably seen that before. And if you haven't, that's what it is. So don't want to overwhelm anybody here, but the main thing to take away from this is, hey, how do I get the IP address of a computer? I just want to know. How do I do that? I don't know. First time in computers, I don't know. How do I do that? Oh, ipconfig slash all. If you want to remember this, you just remember this way. Say Internet Protocol configuration or IP configuration. Okay. Interesting. It's kind of weird. Okay. Number 8. Somebody might ask you to say, go to a change directory. They might say, should tell me, customer might, interview person might say, how do I go in and how do I go to another folder? I want to be able to do that. How do I look at something? You know, so the first thing you do, there's a thing called change directory. So it's CD, and there's really nothing there, right? So CD is change directory. And what that means is I'm going to basically just move from one folder to the other. So if I want to look and see my, I want to CD, I'm going to do CD slash, or I want to go backwards. I'm going to do CD dot dot. I'm going to go back one. So what you're going to see is I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to go from System 32 back to Windows by doing this command. Okay. And if I want to go all the way back to the C drive, I would do CD slash. So now I'm there. If I want to go forward, here's what I would do. I would CD slash something. I can push tab. Now, how do I know what's there, right? How do I know what's in there? Well, you can type dir, which stands for directory. And that's going to tell you what's in there. Okay. I see Dallas Library. I see all these other things. Obviously, this is my computer here, which I have other things on. But what you're going to see is you're going to see a list of folders that you can go into, if you will. So change directory. Let's pick one. Now, let's pick, say, Dallas Library. So I'm going to type DALL, and you can tab it over. You just push the tab button, which is under the 1 basically. Or you can just type the whole thing out if you like. Tab it through, push enter. Oh, I'm in. So once you're in, basically what I've done is I went from the C drive into another folder, gone forward. If you want to break this down, if you want to think of it as something similar like a house and a room. So the C drive is your house. Dallas Library is a room. And if you want to go inside another room, well, I want to know what's inside Dallas room or Dallas Library. So I'm going to type in, let me give you a little real estate here. I'm going to type in dir, which is directory. What's inside there? I don't know. Well, let's find out. Oh, okay. I see a folder. I see this. I see that. Okay, cool. Well, let's see if we can find out. Let's type in folder, CD. We're going to change directory. We're going to folder. Okay. Now I'm in. Oh, I'm in there. Now let's find out what's inside there. All these other files. So why would I use this? What's the reason behind this, right? Sometimes what happens is sometimes you need to troubleshoot. You need to be able to move directories, or you need to be able to go into another directory. And you want to demonstrate that you know what this means. And if you want to go back to the end, CD slash, you're going to go back to the beginning. Sometimes you need to be able to look at certain files in here, maybe able to tell individuals, hey, there's a folder here, there's a file here, without actually going in and browsing via the Windows Explorer. It's very helpful in troubleshooting really anything, to be honest with you. It's very helpful when you're going in, for instance, Commvault. And let's just go here in this scenario, right? Commvault. So I'm going to do CD, change directory. I'm going to go to program files, okay, in my case. And I'm going to go CD again. And I already know what this is, so I'm going to do dir. What's in dir directory? Oh, there's Commvault. Well, Commvault's a program that I use, right? And I know that the only way I can do a certain function, a certain troubleshooting function, is for me to go inside of there and do this. So I'm going to do CD. I'm going to go Commvault, CD dot dot, go back one. CD, change directory, Commvault, and I'm there. So I'm going to do, what is in there? Oh, content store. I need to go in there. CD, content store. Okay, what's in there? Oh, I need the base folder, actually, right? Base. Where's base at? Okay, I need a base. Okay, so I'm going to type in base, CD, change directory. I'm going to go base. Okay. And what's inside the base folder? All these little things. There's a lot, right, by the way. Since I know what I'm looking for, since there's a lot, wow, that's a lot. Since I know what I'm looking for, okay, I know what I'm looking for. I'm going to type cvping, and it's an executable file that does a function for me in this, for this application. What's important about this is sometimes you probably need to use a change directory and to get into this program in order to run something, run this function. Where are we at? Number 7. Okay, number 7. Number 7 is how to create a folder. Okay, so that command is mkdir, which stands for make directory. Since I'm in the C drive, I can make a directory. We're going to name it, say, make a directory. We're going to call it gratitude. Gratitude. Okay, how do I know it's there? I go dir, and do I see it? I do see it. So basically what's happened is I created a folder in the C drive. So what would I do this for? What's the reason, right? Why would I do this? Sometimes what happens is you create folders to put stuff in, and you want to make it easy on yourself to do it. Plus also it's one of those things a lot of Windows admins don't do, because it's real easy just to right click on a folder and create something versus doing command prompt. So this could be another question they ask you on the interview. On this note, if we wanted to create a file inside this directory, how would we do that? Okay, first things first, we're gonna just carry on to what we know already. So we know how to do change directory. So we're going to change directory into that gratitude folder. So we're going to type cd gratitude. Now we're in it. We're going to do a dir directory. There's nothing inside there, obviously, right? Okay, so how would I actually create something inside there? I want to create a folder called I want to create a text file, right? So something like that. So how would I do that? What would I do? I would type the command. I'm going to type echo, echo, which stands for like echo. Okay. I want to echo something. So I'm going to put some data inside. I'm going to put, say, the data is gratitude or grateful. Okay. The word grateful, I want to put inside something. And the easiest thing I know how to do is how to create a text file. So I need to be able to point it somewhere. In order to do that, you see this greater than sign right here? What that means is almost like it's pointing towards something. So you're going to use the same thing here in this regard. It's greater than. Is that greater than? Looks like greater than. Yeah, greater than. And I'm going to create the name of the file. Or the name of the file is going to be, say, grateful.txt. Grateful.txt. Okay, great. I want to see if it's there. I type directory, which you already know the command. Oh, and I see it there. Oh, excellent. Okay, cool. So the file is there. And here's something you know, in order to access that file, you can either right click and do browse, or you can do it this way, which is you type in, let me get a little real estate here. You type in just the word, just the text file. So that's grateful. Again, you can tab it, right? And click enter. When you do that, it's going to open up the text file with whatever it is that's inside. So let's type in some text. This is really cool. Thank you for showing for the video. I will subscribe to your channel and tell my friends to do so also. Thank you, your subscriber. Okay. Okay, so we typed that in. So we just push X and it's going to close it. It's going to save it first. Do you want to save it? I do. Thank you. So you probably see the size here, right? You see the size before, 11, which is actually the size of the file. So when I do a directory again, dir, you can see the change because I have more text in there. I type CLS, which is clear screen. Okay. Number 5. Okay. Number 5 is I want to delete that folder. How do I do that? I want to delete the file, to delete folder. What do I do? I don't know. So CD, we're going to look at it first, directory. I want to delete that file. It's great, thank you, but I want to delete it. Okay. So what's the command? Type del, stands for delete, and you name the file name. Grateful. Text. Enter. Ooh, okay. Is it deleted? Let's find out. Type in directory. I'm going to see. It's gone. Perfect. Excellent. Okay. So on that, I also want to delete the folder called gratitude. Okay. So I want to go back to the C drive. So I'm going to type in, you remember this, right? You're going to do either cd dot or cd slash. It's going to bring us back to the C drive. It's going to take us out of the house. We were in the bedroom. We're in the kitchen. We're going to go back out of the house. CD enter. Where are we at? Oh, we're here. We're out of the house. So we're going to look inside the house now and say, what do we see inside the house? Oh, there's a room called gratitude. Well, I want to delete that folder called gratitude. Do I type the command delete? Let's figure out. Let's find it. Can I delete it? Are you sure? Oh, I can. Fantastic. Okay. I want to delete that folder called gratitude. Is it going to work? Let's find out. Let's just do dir. And it's still there. Why is it still there? Oh my gosh. Why is it still there? Because it's a directory. That's why it's still there. So how do we delete a directory? The command for that, remember before we did make directory? Remember that? Oh, we don't want to make a directory. We just type mkdir directory here. Somehow okay. It's not going to give anything, right? We don't want to make it. We want to delete the directory called gratitude, right? So how do we do that? The command, just like mk, it's a little different. It's rmdir. And so rmdir, which stands for remove directory, and you're going to type the name of the directory. In our case is remove directory gratitude. So push enter, and then I do directory again, and I'll see it's not there anymore. It's fantastic. It's not. It's no longer present. Number 4. Number 4 is how do I copy a folder or a folder or a file from one folder structure to another? Well, first let's create a couple folders, right? Shall we? So we're going to type in. We already know this stuff, so we know cd change directory. We're going to make a directory. We're going to make a directory. We're going to call it gratitude. Okay. Now let's do that. We're going to go inside that directory. CD. We're going to cd change directory. Again, we're going from the house into the kitchen. Okay, when we're in the kitchen. So gratitude's in the kitchen. We're in the kitchen now. Went from the house in the front door to the kitchen. So now we want to create a folder or a file inside that. We're going to do the same thing. Using our command or our example before, we're going to type echo, and we're going to put happy. We're going to echo happy, and we're going to greater than sign. We're going to put it into text file. We're going to call that text file is great.txt. Okay. Let's see if it's present. Directory. It's there. Okay, great. So I need to be able to create a couple of files because I want to move more than one. So I want to be able to create another file. So I'm going to type echo. Remember, we know how to do this, right? I'm going to echo a file. I'm going to call it, say, joy, J-O-Y, and I'm going to put it into a text file. I'm going to create a text file called fun.txt. Okay, let's take a look at that. So now I have two text files, fun and great. So I want to be able to move those files to another directory. But then before I do that, I want to be able to create that directory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change directory. I'm going to go back out of the house. I'm going to go to the front door from the kitchen. Okay, I'm out of the house. Looking at the house now. I want to create another room, another folder. So I'm going to make a directory. MK, we already learned this. Make directory. I'm going to name that directory. Super. Okay. dir. Okay, fantastic. Our folder is now present. Super. So we have gratitude and we have super. So I'm going to be able to move files from gratitude to super. How do I do that? So before I can do that, I need to be in the directory. I need to go into the room. I need to get out of the front door. I need to go in the room, the gratitude room, the kitchen, if you will. So I'm going to do cd gratitude. I'm in the kitchen, right? So I want to be able to move files from one location to the other. Okay, so I'm going to type in move, M-O-V-E, just moving like a moving truck. I'm going to move files from, let's see, let's first find out what the files are, right? So it's fun and great. Okay, so how do we move all this right here? So we'll type in move, M-O-V-E, M-O-V-E, and I'm going to do a question mark, and it's going to tell me what type of things I can do. Actually, some of the type of commands that comes with it. Move question mark, enter, and enter. Computer. Oh, move. Let's do slash question mark. There you go. Okay. So it's going to tell me type of commands I can do with the move command. So move /y, move /-y, and what you're looking for, what I'm looking for really is this. I want to move it. So move is kind of weird. It's either rename. You can either rename files or you can move. There's also copy, but this we're just going to use move. So moving. So move the file into the destination. So in our case, it's going to be move, and we're going to capture everything in that directory. So if we notice all of those files, anything with the .text in our case, we're going to capture all of that. So we want to move all that to the super. So we're going to type in move star. So that's everything .text, and we want to move that to the C drive, greater than sign, C super. Okay, let's go back one. Maybe I need to remove this. Let's go back. Let's see if there. Okay, I need to remove this greater than sign. Okay, so what's going to happen is it's going to do move anything .text into the folder called super. Okay, so what's happened is it's moved those files. So we went from the kitchen to the den to the great room. We moved those files. Let's go ahead and let's go over to super. Let's see if it's there. So we're going to change directory. We're going to go back out of the house, from the kitchen out of the house. So we're going to go back into the great room, super. We're going to go into that room. So we're in the super room now. We're in the room. We're going to take a look at what we have in here. Oh, look at the files are there. Fantastic. Okay. Number 6. Number 6. Number 6 is netstat. What is netstat? Netstat is that command that's needed for you to be able to troubleshoot any network issues. Some of those commands are going to be asked of you in a interview. So what you should take away is this, how you read this, if you will, right? You have your protocol, which is TCP. You have it's either TCP or UDP. So the difference between TCP and UDP is this. UDP is like you're sending out information like, hey, how are you? It doesn't expect a response. TCP is like, hey, how are you? And expects a response or an acknowledgement. And the local address is your local IP here, port 81. That's what that little dot means. And you're connecting to this on this same, this computer here on port 63914. Just like anything else, you can do netstat /?, and it's going to give lots of knowledge for you. The thing that you can do, which is really cool actually, is look for specific ports. For instance, you could do a netstat -in, which displays address and port numbers in numerical form. You can do a -o, which displays the owning process ID, or you can do the -p, which is the protocol. Another fun one is the -r, which displays the routing table. Very good tool to have. Any individual that goes in the interview probably going to be asked this. What is netstat? How do I find out what ports are open on a specific computer? So let's do -r, which displays the routing protocol or routing table. And here's how you read this. You have your two interfaces. You have this interface here, and you have this interface. Your IP route table. So here's how you view this, right? You have your active routes, so your network destination. The 10 network, we're in the 10 network. Your net mask, so this would be the 10.03.15, your net mask. Okay. On link, what's the interface is going out of? Oh, okay, it's going out of that interface. Great. 168.216.3. What interface is it going out of? And then scroll down a little bit here. You have your persistent routes, which is like how you route. Basically what the persistent route is how do I have this interface, but I want to route out, say, this interface. And that's what the persistent routes are. You're not expected to know this as an entry-level IT person, tech person. The one command that's really nice to figure out is if you want to know the ports that are being used for, like port 80 is a common one. Port 80 is the internet, by the way. Port 80 and port 8080. So you might see that. You might see, okay, well, what's this port number? Port 80 usually is the internet, right? It's netstat to find a command, or rather find an open port. So the command is netstat -na. And then we're going to do a bracket here, which is right underneath your backspace. It's like this, but it's not. You push shift and then you type that. It's like a bracket, right? And then we're going to type in find, and then we're going to type in quotations, or what do you call that? Greater quotations, not quotations. I forget what that's called. Anyway, you're going to type that in, and then you type, say, 80, port 80. Let's just say enter. Okay. So what's going on is these are active connections on port 80. To be more specific, there's a port number that's 8403 that Commvault uses, since this is the ComServe, and I'll just type that in here, actually. Okay, so this will be really helpful in drawing down or troubleshooting what ports are being actively used on your server. And this is really helpful when finding out if a port is blocked. That's a common question. How do I find if ports are blocked on a computer, a server? Okay, well, I would type in netstat and dash NA bracket find and what the port number is. Number three, the number three command to use when you're in an interview is called pathping. Maybe you've heard of this, maybe you haven't. Pathping. Pathping is allowing, it's almost like it's like a pseudo trace route basically, right? So let's take a look at it. So if you type it in, so what's going on is I can path ping, I can see the network of a certain certain traffic. So let's path ping to our other server. So the IP is 10.0.3.4. Okay, anything else? Any other information? Nope. Okay, let's do that. So it's going to take a while. It's going to do its stuff. It's going to start to figure out what it wants to do. It's performing a trace route to this IP, which is my other server over here, actually. And if you had, say, like between you and, say, this server, there was, say, 5 or 6 routers or switches, if you will, right? It would see that, it would see the information in between if it's allowed, basically. So that's what the unique thing about the path ping is for. It's really good. It's a lot better than the trace route, as you can probably see. It tells you really good information, especially if you're on the network. It'll tell you the full qualified domain name of every hop, basically. So it's essentially what's going on is it's going to this server, which is 10.0.3.4. It's going from my server, which is me, the 0 here, to it would be this over here next, right? And if it had to go through another hop, it would go through number 2, 3, etc., etc. And as you could see, it ended up talking to the other server. So if it's computing statistics for 25 seconds, I push enter again, and here's where you see all the information I was talking about, right? So the hop count, hop 0, hop 1, the milliseconds it took to get it. So the amount of lost traffic or lost bandwidth or lost traffic. The percentage, 0%, of course. This node link, so lost, sent. Okay, percentage, and you ended up with a little more information again than you would have on traceroute. So this is number 3. Number 2. The command is, well, there's several commands, but it starts off with the word net, N-E-T. You type in net. One in particular command on net, so you can do a net view, you can do a whole host of things. But the one command that's probably critical, or it's probably good to know, and it'll probably help you on your interview actually. And that command is net view, or sorry, net config. Net config. Okay, so net config server is what we're looking after. Okay, so what you're going to see here is this. The reason that it's called server hidden, what's going on is the computer, the server, is using, it's communicating with the Microsoft browser to, almost like a ping or like a traffic, hey, communicating with the Microsoft browser. And you can actually turn this off, which will actually save you some bandwidth on your server. So let me show you how to do that actually. And this is some little nice gotcha that you can tell your person interviewing you. That's really beneficial actually. So the command is, so you're going to type in, of course, netconfig server. Let me give you some real estate here. So the command is netconfigure server. Let's move it up a little bit. Followed by a slash, and then hidden, and then a colon, and the word yes. So when I do that, what's going to happen is it's going to change this server hidden to a yes. Okay, command is successful. So let's up arrow and let's just take a look. So before it was no, and I did the config server / hidden, and I typed it in again, and we're going to see what it looks like now. And as you can see, the server has now been hidden, which indicates it's not sending that Microsoft traffic, browser traffic if you will. It's going to save you some internet. So the last command, number 1. This command is really cool. It's system info. So system info, it's going to tell me information about my computer. If you want to know if it's a virtual machine, obviously you can tell by looking down here, but tells nice information. So for instance, let's take a look at it, right? So it's going to tell me the host name. It's going to tell me the OS number, or sorry, the OS name. It's going to tell me the version. Manufacturer, of course, Microsoft. It's going to tell me the install date when I installed it. It's going to tell me, well, model number. In this case, it's a VirtualBox, so it's going to be VirtualBox. It's going to tell me the 64-bit or 32-bit. It's going to tell me the BIOS version. It's going to tell me the processor type. It's going to tell me the memory that I have allocated for it. It's going to tell me what else is going to tell me? Obviously the log server, or logon server rather. It's going to also tell me the hotfix. So some of the Microsoft patches that have been applied is going to be noted here, as well as your network information cards, your NIC cards, and your IP addresses, and other types of information. So the good thing about this is you could look at it and you're troubleshooting. So you want to know, maybe you want to know the host name, or you want to know what type of computer is it without actually looking in the properties of the computer itself. Maybe you want to look at the model number. What model number is this? I don't know. It's going to tell you that by going here, because maybe you can't visually see it, and perhaps it's not even shown on the command or the GUI interface, but it'll be shown here. So I'd like to thank everybody for walking through this, watching the video. These are the top 9 commands that are going to be used in the interview when you go for your technical interview. If you like this video and you want to see more, please jump on to my course, which is, I have 2 courses. One is at getajobinit.teachable.com, and the other course is on Udemy. It's Learn Backup and Restore with Commvault, Get a High-Paying Job. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just type in Gary McNeely or Commvault Whisperer. There's some good content there related to this. If you would, could you click on the subscribe button and click on notifications? Thank you very much.